tonight in particular. Believe me, it's a long, grueling road for many of these offices, and I know that each of you have been busy over the last several months. We just have a couple of weeks to go, so thank you for throwing your hat in the ring for these offices.
I always like to thank you for having the courage to step up and do this. It's an important part of our democracy that we have a variety of people running for office. As usual, we'll rotate. The commissioners aren't the county's only elected officials. How important do you think the working relationship among all the county's elected officials is? Would you do anything differently in regard to those relationships? The relationship among the county's other elected officials.
Well, all elected officials are there to serve the people, and so the assessor, the treasurer, the coroner, the sheriff, all of the other county elected officials are there because the people voted for them and put them in office. So I believe that that needs to be respected, and those offices need to be respected. And what's happened recently on the city council, I think, is a lack of respect for elected offices, because as most people know, we've had a lot of turmoil with Craig Hedquist and his situation, and the change in the city's, the ability of the city council to kick fellow elected officials off of the council. And what I see happening is a lack of respect for fellow elected officials. And without getting into any of the details of what he did or didn't do, he is an elected official, and the changes that were made at the council level are just unacceptable to me. And I voted against them because it allows colleagues to kick another elected official out of office.
Respect them, we respect their opinions, and I hope they respect our opinions. There's one thing, I've been knocking on doors quite a bit lately, and I'm sure some others up here have too, but there's one thing I'm going to try to change tomorrow night. You know, recently we came out with some resolution about how people can address us. But I've been, several times people at the door have mentioned this 3-minute thing. We ask people that they can only address us for 3 minutes. That's not going to get it. I was elected to listen to the public, and if it takes more than 5 minutes, I'm going to do it. However, I do not run the meeting. The chairman runs the meeting. But as long as they address us in a civil manner, I don't care how long it takes.
Mr. Lawson, and then we'll go to Mr. Schlager and around this way.
My understanding is, and I believe also the resolution, the way it came out, is basically nothing more than trying to give an orderly and civil manner for all participants, and that includes the commissioners as well as the citizens, to with dignity and respect to address each other at this formal meeting. So there was certain guidelines that were laid out, and one of the guidelines was this 3-minute rule. The chairman, my understanding, does have the ability to allow something beyond 3 minutes, and the other fellow commissioners have the ability to ask the chairman to allow such an extension. So at this point, I would say I'd have to see it play out for a while, and if it isn't working, then start talking about revisions, since the commission did pass it.
Mr. Schlager.
It's kind of sad that this had to be, I guess, passed. It's, again, the way I was raised. Treat others the way you wish to be treated. And unfortunately, it had to be enacted. The 3-minute rule, not really a fan of that. I think 5 minutes would be a little bit more appropriate. But you have to understand, too, that I believe it should only be used when there's a large group of folks that want to speak to the commissioners. You know, not everybody can sit around.
Well, to me, it's more evidence of a lack of respect for the citizens, who are, after all, who elected officials are supposed to work with. I think the entire approach is wrong. I am impressed with how polite citizens have been, considering how jerked around they get by numerous groups of elected officials. And in my 8 years on the council, I've never seen anybody out of line, when probably they should have been yelling, but they haven't been. So I applaud the politeness of the local citizenry. And if you have a thin skin and you can't stand being criticized, then why are you running for office? What I think we get is lots of times we have people with big egos and thin skins, and they just can't stand to be criticized. They just can't stand the thought that somebody could point out their weak points and how they are not doing the right thing. And many elected officials don't like to hear that, and they get irritated. And so if they could cut it down to 1 minute, I'm sure that's probably what they would try to do.
Ms. Bergeron,
Again,
speak into the mic, please.
Thank you. Again, I'm running on property rights. That's my motivation. As you watch people speak to the county commission, they do stay, according to the agenda, on task. They speak to the issue that is prevalent to the public speaking time. These people have worked their entire life for their property. They are passionate. And we are a constitutional republic system of government, which means two things. We follow our Constitution and we represent the people. We are representing that person's vote. And so it's very important that those people have a chance to speak clearly and concisely, but to speak to the people that are before them representing them.
Mr. Wingert.
As long as they stay on the subject in a reasonable amount of time. I realize not everybody can stick to 3 minutes, and I certainly don't want them to go on for a half hour. But as long as they stay on a reasonable amount of time and stay on the subject. You know, Governor Friedenthal had this saying that people don't care how smart you are. Not that you don't need to have some smarts, but people want to know if they can trust you and if they can, and if you'll listen to them. And that's what it's all about. Trusting and listen. And that's what I'm willing to do, and that's what I have done.
In the past few years, much of the controversy in the county is centered around property rights and the county's ability to enforce cleanup. Do you support continuing the county's cleanup efforts?
I live west of Casper, and there's a lot of collectibles out there, and we could make it better. It doesn't. People have the right to do what they want to on their property within parameters. When we set that our car issue up, we had 3 people that wanted it cleaned up, and we had 3 collector car people on a board, and we came up with those rules. And you can have them as long as you screen them and kind of protect the view shed coming into town. And so I am in favor of cleaning that up. We've cleaned up a lot of our country out there along the highway and tore barns down and everything else.
You're out of time. Mr. Wingert.
Well, yes, I am. You know, I talked earlier about I-25 cleanup. But yes, I am in favor of cleaning up the county within reason. Within reason. As long as I realize collector cars, collectors need a place to put their cars. And as long as there's not rodents, or as long as they can screen their cars, and maybe set them up, we ask that they set them up maybe 6 inches off the ground and line them up so a fire truck can go through, through the rolls and everything. That's fine with me. There are places, Dana Jones, for instance, 8 Mile Road. He was way out there, and he should have been grandfathered in, and guess what? He took us to court, and I was happy to see, and I'll say that, I was happy to see that the judge sided with Dana Jones on that one, because it was out of view. It was way out of view. Thank you.
Well, I don't support it. I believe that...
Speak into the mic, please.
I don't support it. I believe that we should get back to our landowners and working with our landowners. I believe that people are smart, and that they can work as a neighborhood work together to help each other clean up. I don't think that this should be a rule that puts fines on people. With this county cleanup and the car situation, now you have to have a conditional use permit to have more than 3 or 4 vehicles. I just find this an overreach of government, and I think that an education of people working together is precisely what we need, and working together is wise.
Mr. Goodenough.
Well, I thought the commissioners overreached by quite a bit when they embarked on this crusade to clean up the county. I can see regulations for health and safety reasons and for fire protection and those sorts of things. But historically, the neatniks lived in town and the people who weren't neatniks lived out of town. And so that's the system I think we should have. Many people are interested in cars, trucks, tractors, this and that, and now they're in a position of having to screen things, and sometimes the screening makes it look worse than if the magnificent fleet of collectibles was out there in the field. So I think the commission overreached, and I do not support what they did.
Of regulating the view. There's a reason why people live in the county. The only way I think that the county should really get involved in something like that would be for public safety.
And Mr. Lawson.
I'm supportive up to an extent. I'd have to say that I think there needs to be, and there wasn't, far more input from the public and from the stakeholders that were being affected by this. I think that when I spoke to many of them, they weren't really opposed to doing some limited cleanup. From a property rights standpoint, they recognized that their property rights needed to be protected, but they also recognized their neighbors' property rights needed to be protected. It probably does deserve some revisiting with regard to the extent that the rules are in place.